In the quaint village of Riverton, nestled beside a winding river and surrounded by lush forests, lived an elderly clockmaker named Mr. Abner. His small workshop, filled with the gentle ticking of countless clocks, was a place of wonder for the villagers. Mr. Abner was known not only for his exceptional skill in crafting timepieces but also for his kind heart and the mysterious aura that seemed to surround him. Among the villagers was a young girl named Emily. Emily was curious and adventurous, often exploring the forests and fields around Riverton. She was particularly fascinated by Mr. Abner's workshop and the intricate clocks he made. One rainy afternoon, driven by her curiosity, Emily decided to visit the clockmaker's shop. As she entered, the soothing sound of ticking clocks greeted her. Mr. Abner, with his silver hair and gentle eyes, welcomed her warmly. "Hello, Emily. What brings you here on such a dreary day?" "I've always been curious about your clocks, Mr. Abner," Emily replied. "They seem so magical." Mr. Abner smiled and motioned for her to come closer. "Each clock tells its own story," he said, pointing to a beautiful grandfather clock in the corner. "This one, for instance, holds a special secret." Mr. Abner smiled and motioned for her to come closer. "Each clock tells its own story," he said, pointing to a beautiful grandfather clock in the corner. "This one, for instance, holds a special secret." Emily's eyes widened with interest. "A secret? What kind of secret?" Mr. Abner leaned in and whispered, "This clock has the power to take you back in time. But it only works once and only for those who truly believe in its magic." Skeptical yet intrigued, Emily asked, "Has anyone ever used it?" Mr. Abner nodded. "Many years ago, a young boy from this village used it to save his family. He believed in its magic, and it changed his life." Emily pondered his words and looked at the clock, its hands moving steadily. "Do you think I could use it?" The old clockmaker studied her for a moment before answering, "Perhaps. But remember, the journey will only be as real as your belief in it." That night, unable to sleep, Emily thought about the clock and its supposed power. She wondered what she would change if she could go back in time. Her thoughts drifted to her grandmother, who had passed away the previous year. Emily missed her dearly and longed for just one more day with her. The next morning, Emily returned to Mr. Abner's workshop. "I've decided," she announced. "I want to use the clock to see my grandmother again." Mr. Abner nodded solemnly and led her to the grandfather clock. "Close your eyes, Emily, and place your hand on the clock's face. Believe with all your heart." Emily did as instructed, her hand trembling slightly. She closed her eyes and thought of her grandmother, picturing her warm smile and gentle embrace. She felt a strange sensation, as if the ground beneath her was shifting. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in her grandmother's cozy living room, the familiar scent of freshly baked cookies filling the air. "Emily, is that you?" Her grandmother's voice called from the kitchen. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she rushed to the kitchen, where her grandmother stood, just as she remembered. "Grandma," Emily cried, hugging her tightly. They spent the day together, baking cookies, telling stories, and laughing. Emily cherished every moment, knowing it was a gift. As the day drew to a close, her grandmother took her hand. "Emily, you must remember that love transcends time. I will always be with you, in your heart." With those words, Emily felt the strange sensation return. She closed her eyes and when she opened them, she was back in Mr. Abner's workshop, the grandfather clock ticking softly beside her. Mr. Abner looked at her kindly. "Did you find what you were looking for?" Emily nodded, tears of gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Abner. It was the most wonderful day." The old clockmaker smiled. "Time is a precious gift, Emily. Cherish every moment." Emily left the workshop with a renewed sense of peace and a deeper appreciation for the time she had with her loved ones. She shared her experience with the villagers, who marveled at the magical tale. From that day on, Emily visited Mr. Abner often, learning the art of clockmaking and the wisdom of cherishing time. And so, the story of the mysterious clockmaker and the magical grandfather clock became a beloved legend in Riverton, reminding everyone of the power of belief and the timeless bonds of love.